We now move on to our next panel. And for those of you who are just joining us, you are watching the NatSatel online conference on game-changing technologies, innovative technologies in the industry. And now we are on our second panel. So if you just joined us, welcome. And also, if you want to join the conversation, those who are registered as participants, there's a chat button there where you can ask questions. So we can choose you. I, as the moderator, will be choosing from those questions and put it to the panel. And those that we ran out of time and we able to get to during this conference, we will refer them to the speakers, and they can maybe respond offline, through email or etc. So our next panel is on game-changing technologies and solutions. And we have a very distinguished panel. One of them actually was here last year, which I also moderated, the ground segment panel. His name is Hagay Katz. He's the Chief Product Marketing Officer of Gilat Satellite Networks. And then those of you who registered earlier, there was a last minute change in the speakers, but it's still the same company. We have Kamal Antoun. He's the regional sales director for Middle East of Hughes Network Systems. We had Vaibhav Magao confirmed as a speaker, but unfortunately he had something urgent to attend to. But I'm sure Kamal will be filling in his shoes very nicely. It's the same company. And last but not least is Jose Horta. He is the sales director for EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa of Integrasys. So we have a very good mix here. We have Gilat, which is very well known in the ground segment, as well as Hughes. Hughes is both ground and space segment. They operate satellites and also manufacture equipment and a pure software company. So we have a very interesting mix of panel here to discuss these game changers in their respective segments of the market. So as we did in the previous panel, each one will have about 1 or 2 minute, 3 minute at most introduction of their company, and then we will have a discussion of all these issues that are before us. So, Hagay?
Thank you, Virgil. A pleasure, as always, to be invited and to present. So I'll start with a brief introduction of myself. My name is Hagay Katz. I'm the Chief Product and Marketing Officer of Gilat Satellite Networks. And I'm overseeing the product strategy and the marketing of the company. Gilat is a publicly traded company in NASDAQ and in Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. And we are in this market since 1987. Being one of the market leaders in ground segment, we are a supplier of technology. The slide that in front of you, you can see that we are spread over a wide range of areas. So on the left side, on the VSAT platforms, we are now, I launched the SkyEdge 4 just about 2.5 years ago. And the SkyEdge 4 is our latest and greatest ground segment system, VSAT platform, already scaled in software for very high throughput satellites. We introduced the Aquarius family that provides very high PPS and speeds, for 5G and mobility, IFC and maritime. And in addition, we are supporting all the very successful VSATs of the SkyEdge 2C that I actually launched also in 2012. We have the point-to-point modems, the GLT, MLT modems, which are used for commercial and military application, one of the most resilient wavelengths that in the market today. We have a subsidiary in the US called Wavestream, which is the leading provider of solid-state power amplifiers, both for IFC and land mobility, including the Department of Defense. the antenna terminals line that we have, which is electronic steered antennas for business aviation, and panel and parabolic antennas for UAVs, land mobility antennas, transportable and portables, which we are now marketing via our subsidiary in the US, the DataPath subsidiary. So altogether, you can see that we are operational on a variety of markets. Gilat is the market leader in in-flight connectivity. If you fly an airplane today, there is a very high probability, about 25% that you either, or 30% that you either own a VSAT of Gilat or a solid-state power amplifier of Gilat. On cellular backhaul, if you are over satellite doing 4G, there's a probability of 70% that you are on Gilat. And the next slide I want to show, if you can move to the next slide, is that our SkyEdge 4 ground segment is on its way for the next generation platforms and virtualization to start with on the cloud, and then supporting the 5G several phases, hybrid non-terrestrial network, and then transparent NTN, and then regenerative NTN. And we will do that with the SkyEdge 4 in a way that both S2X and 5G will be supported simultaneously, allowing relatively seamless migration. We will talk about it later, I guess. So that's about it.
Yes, very good overview, Hagay. So we move on to Kamal from Hughes.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you, Virgil and Intersputnik, to give us this chance to talk to your audience. Well, I'm Kamal Antoun. I represent Hughes. I'm the regional director for Hughes in Middle East and Africa. Okay, so today I'll just give you a brief introduction about Hughes, EcoStar, the mother company, and talk a little bit about the topic of our subject here, the cellular backhauling. So as you know, Hughes is part of a bigger company called EcoStar, and EcoStar, by the beginning of this year, merged with a sister company called Dish to form a bigger telecommunication company that serves multiple facets, many verticals with different portfolios, mobile operators, satellite provider with our own assets in the sky, and in addition, we have our own S-band for IoT connectivity. So if we combine the two sessions together, Hughes is and EcoStar is all of the above. We are working on many fronts. Of course, in addition to being a technology provider where we manufacture our own ground segment, and recently we have started manufacturing our own flat panels for a LEO constellation, which is OneWeb. So Hughes has been in the business for over than 50 years. We are a satellite provider in North America and Latin America with different services, a HughesNet for consumers, HughesOn for enterprise, with many verticals being addressed. Today, we have 50% of the market, of the VSAT market. We've shipped more than 10 million VSATs so far. And we've started evolving, obviously. Before we were serving the aero market with our technology. Today we have developed and evolved into an IFC. Today Hughes is a full-fledged IFC with multiple logos now being joined our family, with recently Delta, and a few weeks back was this partnership with Turksat and Turkish Airlines. So today we are being, very busy on many fronts. To focus back on the GEO and VSAT, today Hughes released Jupiter 3, which followed basically the launch our satellite Jupiter 3, which we launched back in July, which is a 550 giga satellite, purely Ka, with hundreds of spot beams serving America, the two Americas. And with that came an updated ground system with many capabilities and serving multiple verticals. This ground system is basically have multi-orbit capabilities, and it also have provisioning for 5G within the modems. So today, the new technology that we have introduced to market has been developed from the ground up for first our network, which purely based on QNV, and this is the first ground system to be deployed for QNV uplinks, and it was also designed for software-defined satellites to support our partners like Eutelsat, KVHTS, and SCS-17, and PSN in Indonesia, and many others that are coming on the way. So this is on the Jupiter technology. Now on the cellular backhauling in particular, Hughes is very active in that space. We have north of 12,000 cellular backhauling sites across the globe. Lots of implementations within this region, Middle East, North Africa, and Sub-Sahara. So the technology provides lots of features. It's a high performance technology with very commendable throughput. We're talking about 400 Mbps per terminal, with acceleration, with multiple thousands of TCP sessions, and very high number of packets per second. It comes with different flavors of modems, indoor, outdoor, IP67 rated, and it has all the flexible configuration for layer 2, layer 3, supports obviously GTP acceleration, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G capabilities. Now, also Hughes is very active, like I said, on the multi-orbit, multi-transport. We were the first to bring to the market the combination of GEO and MEO in the sky with collaboration with SES. Today, we do what we call fusion in the sky with GEO and LEO, where we bring capacity and technology to serve the airline industry. And this is being trickled down to many other verticals like maritime and government. Also, Hughes is very busy. EcoStar is very busy in the IoT space. As you might know, we have our IoT satellite. It's the GEO satellite today, operational for the European market and the North African market. We've developed our own chip with the antenna. It's a very small chip that is being deployed with many IoT nodes provider for agriculture, asset tracking, farming, and many other applications. So today we have that. It's a service. We are a service provider in that space. We have future plans, obviously, to launch satellites. By the end of the year, we will launch more IoT satellites, but this will be a LEO constellation. And that would be actually our entry to the next level and the next phase of our strategy, which is a fully deployed constellation of 200 plus satellites based on Release 17 and beyond, which will target the direct-to-device market.
So you're definitely on a multi-orbit strategy.
Yeah, of course, because people talk about being hurt from the newcomers. You haven't seen you haven't seen hurt until you come at Hughes in terms of losing some of the market segments.
We can discuss this a little bit more. That's a good overview of your company. So let's give a chance to Jose from the software point of view. Jose from Integrasys.
Hello everybody. Good afternoon, good morning. Well, as Kamal said, allow me just a brief introduction, a self-introduction. I am Jose Horta. I'm Senior EMEA Sales Director from Integrasys. And I have to say that we are straight, as Virgil said, we're straight focused on software development. We are a 4 years company that we have been focused since minute one of developing software solutions for SATCOM communications. So that means that we have a very light, very heavy track on managing problems and incoming situations that require the satellite communications to have a feasible solution in terms of agility, in terms of capacity, in terms of features, and obviously in terms of costs. Mm. So with all these things in the pocket, we've been applying just hard to have a wide portfolio based on every single applications from A to Z that we should do and in which we should add value in the SATCOM communication. Since the design point of view of a network, of having all the go or not go permissions for international organizations like ITU, going through digital twin creations, going through simulations of the scenarios just to check out if our business network design is running or how it's running, and help to the teams when they are become the commissioning of the network, how to maintain the network from a preventive and smart point of view, and later changes the point of view, going to another type of solutions based on quality supervision, quality management, and forward and beyond that quality management, how we can improve and which is the add-on featuring that we can go to the solutions to help basically and to give a better life and a relaxed life to every single player in the satellite's communication world. That's why we have, I think, a quite complete range of products, as I said, focusing of management of network design and capacity, which has been in the last years our core from design from that point a whole ecosystem of solutions that can be complemented and that can help what we are discussing today, help to enhance the added value and how will evolve the ground segment on the satellite communications. So we are running in the line of ground system. We've been focused always on ground system, and of course we've been always in contact with the key players of this market, from satellite manufacturers, satellite operators, service providers, and any other player that could add value in the chains facing from the manufacturing till the user, till the end user.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. Jose, I'll actually start with you because you serve both GEO. You serve all the orbits, right? GEO, MEOs,
Yeah,
LEO. It doesn't matter to you. if they need software, you provide it, right?
Yeah.
Now, how was the LEO, the entrance of LEO? How has that impacted, do you think, your market, and what are the key innovations from the software perspective that it might have introduced?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, Virgil. I have to say that all the evolutions to these LEO constellations has really changed, had to change our minds in how to focus on how to add value since the solutions point of view. We have to consider that we are moving into other league, with other another game. Now we have to consider that we have to put much more effort in the software solution, because all the constellation will grow, but our ground segment elements should be limited, and we should design solutions that will allow the growth of the constellation in number of satellites and in number and appliances and features. And we have to commit with edge-cutting technologies and edge-cutting innovations, like AI appliance, for instance. So we have to redraw the board and to apply and consider much more flexible solutions and much more wide spectrum solutions that are not just fitted on like was in the past with a geo satellite. We have to merge those technologies with the new ones coming and adding in the game the LEO and the LEO and MEO systems, and as basically to move forward in the merging of the solutions that as we have in the for instance beam budget or FlexCap, or that's we have another tool that is best path connection, that is giving a nice mixture between what is adding from a geo satellite and what is adding for a LEO and MEO constellation to produce a service and an advanced value to end users. And that's things the line we should do.
Right. Now we have a question from one of our audience, Enayatullah Atal. And I'll address this to Kamal, since you're a multi-orbit operator. What do you like? What do you think of the effectiveness of CubeSats and small sats? As compared to larger satellites and etc.
So we don't, as EcoStar and Hughes, we are not involved with CubeSat, but it's not in our strategy and vision. But from my knowledge, that they're easier to build, much more cost efficient, and it gives entities and smaller countries to be involved in the satellite space. Launching them obviously is much easier, and it gives them some capabilities for imaging and other applications. So yeah, definitely we see
it's more for niche markets, right?
Yes.
If you're a small company and maybe you just want to cover a small part,
100%.
just some universities, for instance, maybe they're just doing research.
Absolutely.
But you don't see this as a game changer for like cellular backhaul or broadband access?
No, we because there are the smaller satellite manufacturer now coming into the market, and the market is becoming busier, and they've hit a sweet spot in terms of cost per megabit, in terms of build, manufacturing, launching, and operating. So there is now a void that being filled by these companies, and we are seeing lots of countries adopting these programs for national satellites. Now, obviously, like you said, the CubeSat will be for specific organization, for very niche requirement, and it serves the purpose for sure.
Yeah. So Hagay, what are the game changers in the ground segment? Just you mentioned all of your products, but tell me, what are the innovative game changers in those products, or are you working on?
Yeah, I think telling the story of SkyEdge-4 can reveal some of the changes that we see in the industry. With the SkyEdge-2C, which was our last generation, we were developing, for example, a cellular backhaul. We were the first one to do the GTP acceleration. Actually, I'm one of the authors of the patent. We did it together with SoftBank in Japan. And the speeds that we were doing at that time were 100 megabits per second to the handset. Okay, to the VSAT would be a few hundred megabits per second, but to the handset it was 100 megabits per second on speed test. Today, our system should supply gigabits per second to the handset. And actually, in India, in Geo Reliance with the O3B Power, we demonstrated 1 gigabits per second to the handset over Empower. We are the system that run the Empower full MEO system of SES. And we showed that. So that's an example of 10 times more speed and PPS that you need to provide. Another example is on IFC. We were the first one to do 200 megabits to the airplane, and now we need to provide gigabits to the airplane. And that means not only a better VSAT, but of course different type of a hub, because if the satellite, if you talk about thousands of VSATs that are providing gigabits per second, you need a very powerful hub, and you cannot provide too much hardware, so you have to be software scalable. And these amounts of gigabits per second are part of the VHTS revolution. As my friend in HNS said, they just launched a 500 gig satellite, and the system that we built was built for terabits per second satellites, and not tens of gigabits of satellites as before, which means software scalability, which means very high PPS and on every scale. The other thing that you mentioned already was also the multi-orbit type of thing. Today we are already running a multi-orbit system. In the past, where GEO was enough, this is not enough anymore. You need to be GEO, MEO, LEO. SkyEdge 4 was built to do that. And the software-defined satellite is the last one, which is very important. What that means, software-defined satellite, that means that there are real-time changes in the configuration of the satellite and accordingly the ground segment. And there should be a communication with the orchestrator of the SDS, of the software-defined satellite, and immediate action on the ground. We call it ground space harmony. Not before. This was not something that you had to do before. Outbound migration, for example, could take minutes or hours in the past, and now it should take seconds. So these are the main drivers and changes we see in the market. The speeds, the capacity, the software defined, the software scalability, and the multi-orbit.
Yeah, Kamal, what do you see as the game-changing in your field? Like satellite backhaul. How are they able to compete with, say, terrestrial? Which is the main way of use in that segment.
Sure. So for satellite backhaul, we know for backhauling of MNO towers, we know when there is a terrestrial and when it's cost efficient to do terrestrial, let's face it, satellite has no place, right? We are only there when there's no access to terrestrial connectivity or microwave is too expensive, and this is where satellite comes. Now, within the GEO, segment, we can upgrade the hardware. We can increase more throughput, PPS, add all the features, which already all systems of all vendors are feature rich, but we're still limited with physics, right? And with the round trip delay on GEO. And but today we are introducing the GEO multi-orbit with GEO and LEO to do backhauling, and this has been trialed and this has been successful, and we've started some implementations to work on that segment. But from a GEO perspective, from a VSAT perspective, the technology is very mature. We upgrade the hardware, we add more capacity and more throughput, and more features. And today, VSAT, believe it or not, works well for backhauling, even for 5G. And it's proven technology, stable, with many deployments, and we understand it well, and it's working well. Customers are happy, this is for us. It's here to stay. Geo is here to stay, and we see a future bright for Geo, especially with the new flexible payloads and the VHTS satellites.
Right. Now, Jose, from the software perspective, what do you? Oh, I'm sorry.
One sentence on that, if I may.
Sure.
Without going into all the details, but I'm getting feedback that combination of GEO and LEO is required because in some of the LEO constellation, I won't go into all the details, the most critical data, which is voice and some critical data, on a best effort system, this is not acceptable. So now they're asking for a combination of GEO and LEO.
Right. I agree too. Do you agree, Jose?
Yeah, sure. I agree with
that's why the GEO operators are getting into LEOs. Now, from the software, let's go to the software perspective, Jose. What do you see as the game changer? Now, we mentioned software-defined satellite. That's more the software of the satellite itself, right? Do you have anything to do with that? And what do you see as the future there?
Okay, well, that's with that question, the answer is like the chicken and the egg. We have technology and emergent technology on LEO-MEO constellations that allows us to give lower latency times, and that helps to develop new technologies and new ground elements, and now new appliances. But these appliances, like for instance, telemedicine, will demand as well even lower latencies, which forces to, in the spite of the ground segment technology, the terrestrial technologies, forces to enhance the technology in the constellations and the LEO-MEO constellations that we have upward. So we have entered in a game that we need to improve the technology, to improve the services, and to add new technologies that will demand improving again the technology we are developing and implementing. So for me, I think the physical limits that could have the hardware are what it is. Even when you want to improve things, they have a lead time. But software is enough flexible and enough fast to be deployed that helps in accelerate these processes on the reach to the end user, and to be able to implement new technologies. Like for instance, for the asset trackings, if you have a good hardware, you can improve them. But if you don't have a good software, the hardware you are implemented, it means nothing. But on the other side, with a minimal hardware, if you have a good software solution, you can enhance a good servicing. In this case, for instance, like in ecology survival, for counting species, for tracking agriculture, or for monitoring any other asset. So this is just an example of how the software will definitively improve and accelerate the reach to market and the appliances of new technologies. That's my view. But in any case, I fully agree with what Kamal and Hyatt are stating. I fully agree with that.
Right. So we're almost at the end of this panel. So let's wrap it up and let's look into the future. All of your companies have been around for at least 30 years and even more. Hughes was a pioneer, and Gilat is a pioneer in their own fields. You know, the LEO is still relatively new. And then I actually was in a company event here in Germany. I'm in Germany right now, last week, and there was some talk about maybe LEOs may not survive, it's still new, and, you have to replace their satellites every 5 years, etc. How do you see the future? Do you think the LEO is the game changer, or, any thoughts on that? Maybe who wants to start first? Okay. Oh, Kamal raised his hand. Oh, he beat you.
No, please go ahead.
Oh, no, Kamal, you go ahead.
Come on, you go. Since Hughes has been around the longest.
Yeah. But I'm not the oldest on this panel.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So no, just kidding. We as Hughes and EcoStar, we see the need for all three constellations. We don't see any constellation now disappearing. There is a requirement for GEO, for the MEO, and for the LEO. And LEO has always been here, right? Many constellations have been survived, and they're still here, right? And Hughes was one of the providers to these technology, like Iridium, for example. So GEO, obviously, in terms of cost, hertz per bit, will be the most cost efficient. In terms of even cost for equipment, for VSAT, the price keep on going down. But then complementing the GEO with the LEO or a MEO connectivity will be key to transform the whole industry. And eventually, all of that will, the way we see it, will need to converge with the terrestrial infrastructure, right? We see all of this convergence between satellites in the sky in the form of Open RAN, converged with the local networks or infrastructures of the various MNOs around the globe.
Okay, Hagay.
Yeah, so definitely agree with Kamal on the multi-orbit strategy. Some of the things that I can add. The LEO is here very strongly and will stay in the future. And as Kamal said, it's already here for a long time. It's just the sheer capacity that is now in the sky was changing. But I think that what is going to change on the LEO, and that's interesting, is that we are currently working with some of our potential customers on so-called 5G architecture for LEO, where terminals will go standard 5G, NTN. There will be a regenerative onboard processing payload on the satellite itself. And that's a big change compared to what we see today. If you look at both the big players, you look at Starlink, you look at Kuiper, they are a closed garden basically on most of the things, not all of them, but most of them, and they go with non-standard technology. And I think that once the ground segment for the LEO will go to 5G, and I believe this is the direction, then we will see a big change. And this will allow additional operators to compete very nicely, both on price and on capacity. So that's one big thing that I think we can see. Another important thing is, as Kamal said, and that there are some inherent advantages for LEO, but same thing for MEO and GEO. And I think that only a system that can do multi-orbit can enjoy the inherent things. Like in MEO, today we can provide for maritime gigabits per second on a specific ship. We can follow with the ship the beam, and we can do things that are not possible on LEO today. And on NGEO, same thing. We can concentrate a lot of capacity on specific area where LEO will not be able to do it easily. And of course, you have the advantages of the cost of the antennas and so forth. The cost of the antennas for GEO is very low. So the combination is very strong.
Thank you, Hagay. Jose, you have the last word, since Integrasys is the youngest company among these three, over 30 years, and in software, which is supposed to be a little bit more, newer field.
Yeah, sure. Well, I have to say that both Kamal and Hagay are correct. For me, my view is that we need to take actions and to be prepared for convergence, not only with just terrestrial 5G networks, 5G and incoming 6G or whatever, but also from the looking up, we have only GEO, MEO, LEO, and what happens with the new nano satellites that are incoming from the past.
Right.
So I see that there are two big routes to converge. There are the terrestrial and the revolutions, and the multi-orbit and the revolutions. And for us, it's very, very, very nice backyard and playground because we can solve everything with the software. So that's the advantage of the software. We have the flexibility to apply software solutions for any actual and incoming technologies. So for us, I think that to be prepared and to know how to evolve in convergence worlds are a must. To have that vision, not only from the evolution of the constellations architecture, but also with the convergence with the ground segment technologies.
Well, thank you very much. And fortunately, we have a limited time. This is really a very interesting discussion. But as you can see from our panelists here, there's a lot going on, a lot of game-changing innovations, and looks like the industry is here to stay. Just like these companies have weathered through a lot of changes and still are on top of their fields. Well, thank you, Hagay, Kamal, and Jose. Thank you for this very enlightening panel. If I could just, give you a big round of applause, online.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just finished our second panel, which was on on game-changing technologies and solutions. If you just joined us, this is the NatSatel virtual conference on innovative technologies and services in the global satellite industry. We've been through a keynote presentation and a couple of panels on non-geostationary constellations and game-changing technologies.